While she was getting ready for her big charity gala, I found a lease agreement in her name, except it wasn't my last name. That night, I watched my wife laugh with another man at the event she said was just work. I just took notes. 2 weeks later, she got served divorce papers at brunch in front of her friends. Now she's begging me to talk. If you asked me 6 months ago, I'd have said my life was solid. Predictable in all the ways that meant safety. I had a good job in corporate security, a house by the lake with clean hardwood floors and a patio I never used, and Mara, my wife of 5 years. She made our life feel curated. Like we were the couple people tried to copy on Pinterest. She always had this air about her, composed, graceful, effortlessly likable. The type of woman who knew which wine to bring to which dinner, remembered birthdays, and had a smile that made strangers hand her extra napkins or free coffee. She said she ran a boutique event planning business from our home office. She had binders, client folders, and her calendar looked like a color-coded war map. I never questioned it. Why would I? She'd kiss me goodbye in the morning with the scent of expensive perfume and soft lips, whisper something about a venue tour or floral arrangement crisis, and be gone most of the day. Sometimes all day. Sometimes overnight. I didn't think much of it. I'm not the jealous type. Or at least I wasn't. There were little things, sure. Like how her phone was always on silent. Always face down. Or how she said her spa weekends were for sanity, but never posted a single photo. And once, just once, I caught a glimpse of her laptop screen. Something financial. A spreadsheet, maybe. She shut it the moment she saw me and laughed it off. Just budgeting for a bridezilla. You don't want to know. But you know how it is. You want to believe the person sleeping next to you isn't someone you have to decode. You trust. Because otherwise, what's the point? Then one night, I kissed her on the cheek while she was putting away dishes, and she flinched. It was tiny. Barely there. But I felt it, this quick, instinctual pull away. Like I'd surprised her. Like she hadn't expected affection from me. She covered it fast. Smiled. Reached up and rubbed my neck, told me I looked tired and should sit down. And I did. But I didn't stop thinking about it. After that, I started noticing things. The perfume had changed. Sweet, floral, something new. Her taste in music was different too. She started listening to jazz. Mara hated jazz. And when she said I love you at night, her voice landed flat. Like it was just another thing to check off her list. Still, I told myself not to spiral. Marriage gets quiet sometimes. People change. Evolve. But deep down, something cold and ancient curled itself around my ribs. I just didn't know how right that feeling was. Not yet. But I would. The truth was waiting for me just a few days later, dressed in a black gown and diamond earrings, smiling across a crowded ballroom like she hadn't already set the fuse. And I, like a fool, was still holding the match. The night everything started to unravel came dressed in black tie. It was a Thursday. Mara had been buzzing about it for weeks, a gala for the Children's Recovery Foundation. Some high-end thing she'd helped organize. She said it was going to be her biggest event yet. VIPs, press, sponsors, a silent auction. She bought a new dress for the occasion, emerald green with a slit so high it looked painted on. I told her she looked incredible. She smiled, but didn't say I looked anything. We arrived separately. She said she'd be too busy setting up. Told me to show up at 8 sharp and not be late, so I did. I wore my best gray suit, the one she always said made me look less like a bodyguard and more like a Bond villain. I even brought her a bouquet of white lilies, because I remembered they were her favorite. Or used to be. The ballroom was all chandeliers and champagne. Big band music, laughter, waiters in white gloves. I spotted her instantly, Mara, standing under a golden light, smiling like she was queen of the night. People surrounded her. Mostly men. She wore her mask flawlessly. I waited for her to notice me, to make her way over. She didn't. Not at first. So I wandered toward the bar. Grabbed the whiskey, neat. Tried not to stare at her too much. That's when the first one approached me. A guy in a tux, maybe mid-40s, British accent, slicked back hair. One of those real estate mogul types with perfect teeth and dead eyes. He nodded at me and raised his glass. So, he said, "You're the husband?" I blinked. "Yeah. Ethan. Nice to meet you." "Didn't know she was married," he said, and smirked. Mara always did know how to keep things tidy. I smiled politely, but there was something venomous about his tone. I wanted to ask what he meant, but he clapped me on the shoulder and disappeared into the crowd before I could. I started noticing more of them. Men she greeted a little too closely. Men who called her darling. One even kissed her hand and whispered something in her ear that made her blush. I walked toward her just as she was finishing a laugh, one of those deep, open-mouthed ones that used to be mine. She turned, saw me, and froze for half a second. Then she smiled. A little too wide. "There you are," she said. "I was starting to think you ditched." I held out the flowers. She took them and passed them to an assistant without even looking at them. "They're lovely," she said, already turning away. "Come on, I want you to meet some people." But she didn't introduce me. Not really. Just nodded at people like I was background noise. Like I was the driver who dropped her off. Then came the woman in the blue dress. She sidled up to me while Mara was busy charming a donor. Maybe 30, maybe older. Expensive lipstick. Sharp smile. "I didn't know she was married," she said, sipping her wine. "That makes two of us tonight," I said, half joking. She raised an eyebrow. "So you are her husband?" I nodded. "Huh," she said, tapping her glass. "She goes by Mara Delacroix at the firm." My heart didn't drop. It didn't beat faster. It just stopped. Completely. Like a record scratch inside my chest. "Delacroix?" I asked. The woman laughed. "Yeah. Beautiful name, right? Very Parisian." I forced a chuckle. "Yeah. Beautiful." She drifted away. I stayed standing there, glass in hand, staring across the room at the woman who was supposed to be my wife. She looked radiant. Alive. Untouchable. And for the first time since I'd met her, I realized I didn't know who she was at all. Not really. Not even close. I didn't confront her that night. I drove us home, nodded in the right places, laughed when she brought up a guy who'd bid $5,000 on a bottle of wine. She acted like nothing had happened. Like her alias hadn't just been dropped into my lap by a stranger in heels and too much perfume. I slept beside her that night without sleeping at all. The next morning, I kissed her goodbye before she left for a venue walkthrough, then watched from the upstairs window as she drove away. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. At first, I felt like a teenager in a bad movie, kept pulled low, sunglasses, old hoodie. I tailed her through the city like some amateur PI, praying every red light didn't give me away. She didn't go to a venue. She went to a tower. A sleek, glass high-rise downtown, with underground valet and mirrored elevators. The kind of place that costs more per square foot than our entire mortgage. She walked in like she owned it. No hesitation. Keycard access. Smile for the concierge. The name on the digital directory? Delacroix Consulting, 17th floor. I parked around the corner and waited. After half an hour, I walked in through the front doors like I belonged. The lobby smelled like vanilla and ambition. I approached the desk casually, scanned the mailboxes. Suite 1703, Delacroix. There it was again. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asked. I forced a grin. "Just waiting for Mara." "Forgot my badge again." She smiled back. "She'll be down in a minute, I'm sure." I left before I could vomit on the marble floor. Back in the car, my mind was crawling with questions. Delacroix wasn't a one-time alias. She was using it professionally. Openly. Confidently. Which meant there was more. There had to be. That night, when she told me she was tired and heading to bed early, I waited exactly 40 minutes before I unlocked her filing cabinet. She always kept it neat, labels for Q4 vendors and venue invoices and flower budget. But one folder didn't belong. No label. Inside, a lease agreement for an apartment in a building I'd never heard of. Different address. Different email. A signature that wasn't quite her usual one, flourished, sharper. Almost like someone practicing a new identity. The tenant? Mara Delacroix. The building was across the river. I drove there the next day under the excuse of a site visit for work. Walked by like I was just out for a stroll. It was upscale. Discreet. No doorman. Code entry. She'd thought of everything. Back home, I searched the name online. Nothing under Mara Archer. But Delacroix? LinkedIn. Facebook. Instagram. All private. But the profile photos matched. Her face. Her smile. The same woman I'd married, just dressed in a different life. And then came the photo. Buried in a tagged image from some luxury dinner party 3 months ago. Her arm hooked through another man's. Tall. Trim beard. The type of guy who wears turtlenecks and drinks whiskey with one ice cube. She was kissing his cheek. He was holding her waist. and her left hand bare. No wedding ring. I closed the laptop, slowly. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even speak. I just sat there in the dark living room, watching her walk through the door an hour later with Thai takeout and that same tired smile. "I got your favorite," she said, setting the bag on the counter. And I smiled back. Because now I understood what I was looking at. Not a tired wife. Not a partner under stress. Not even a liar. What I was staring at was a stranger in my house wearing my wife's skin. And I wasn't going to confront her. No. I was going to watch her burn herself down. One perfect, planned lie at a time. I became two people after that night. By day, I was the usual Ethan, calm, predictable, affectionate enough to keep her mask on. I still made the coffee. Still folded her laundry. Still asked about her fake clients like I believed every word. But once she left the house, I became someone else. Focused. Quiet. Precise. The first thing I did was copy everything. Her laptop was a goldmine. She used the same 3 passwords for everything, so predictable, really. I pulled her emails, calendar events, cloud files. She wasn't just living a double life. She was building it. There were transfers to a second account I hadn't known existed. Tens of thousands moved in small, careful amounts over months. All under the name M. Delacroix. I traced it to a private bank, one she opened 3 years ago right after our 3rd anniversary. Then came the photos. Dozens, all from that second apartment. Some of them were just her working, cooking, lounging around like she belonged there. Others were of her with him. The man in the turtleneck. Her other life. She smiled differently with him. Head tilted, softer. Like she wanted to be seen. I hated that I noticed. I didn't confront her. That would have been too easy. I wanted the whole picture. So I hired someone. Brandon Roth. Private investigator. Ex-cop with a camera the size of a pack of gum and zero interest in small talk. He trailed her for 3 weeks, documented everything: when she was with him, when she wasn't, when she visited the apartment, when she left town under the guise of client weekends. He handed me a manila folder over black coffee and a croissant. "She's good," he said. "But not good enough." Inside the folder, timestamps, photos, receipts. One showed her and the other man at a hotel in Chicago, holding hands like honeymooners. Another was a screenshot of her checking in under Ms. Delacroix. I thanked Brandon and walked back to my car in complete silence. Every step I took was steady, even. Like a countdown. At home, Mara was in the kitchen, barefoot and humming. She smiled when I walked in, like I was the one living a lie. "You look tired," she said, handing me a glass of wine. I smiled back. "Long day." She nodded, kissed my cheek, and went back to stirring a pot of something too sweet. She had no idea the man she married was already gone. And the man sitting in front of her? He was just waiting. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting to end the performance she thought she'd perfected. Her birthday came quicker than I expected. She had a whole weekend planned: brunch with friends, a night at some wine resort, and of course, a dinner with me, just us. She said it sweetly, like we were still in love, like she wasn't building a new life on the bones of mine. I let her talk. Smiled at all the right moments. Bought her flowers. Wrapped the gifts. Played my role to perfection. But I had gifts of my own. Dinner was at home, her idea. More intimate, she said, lighting candles like she hadn't kissed another man 3 days ago. She wore a black slip dress, minimal makeup, barefoot, glass of wine in hand. I almost believed it myself. Almost. We ate pasta. She talked about yoga, new client referrals, how next year's going to be big. I asked how the Delacroix brand was doing. She froze for a heartbeat, then laughed it off. "Oh, you saw that? Just something I'm testing out. You know how branding works." "Of course," I said. "Smart." After dessert, I handed her a white envelope with her name on it. She opened it slowly, expecting something romantic, something heartfelt. Inside, divorce papers. Clean. Simple. No dramatics. Her face didn't change at first. Just confusion. Then she laughed, too high, too forced. "Is this a joke?" "No," I said. "Check the date I filed." She skimmed the documents. Her smile cracked. I don't understand. Where is this coming from?" I stood, walked to the side table, and picked up the second envelope, thicker, bound with a red string. I set it gently in front of her. She hesitated. Then opened it. Inside, photos. Bank records. Hotel invoices. Screenshots. Her entire second life, printed in full color and chronological order. She didn't speak for a long time. Just stared at the contents like they might catch fire and disappear. I know about him, I said. I know about the apartment. The bank account. Monaco. She flinched at that last one. A direct hit. Ethan, she whispered, finally, I can explain. No, you can't. Her voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to, it was just business at first. I didn't mean to hurt you. Sure, I said. That's why you filed your own set of divorce papers last week. Her mouth dropped. You left them on your desk, I added. Next to your passport. She covered her face with her hands, and for the first time since this started, I felt nothing. No anger. No heartbreak. Just the steady hum of clarity. I never stopped loving you, she said, her voice trembling. You never started, I replied. You loved the life. The comfort. The cover. She tried to reach for my hand, but I stepped back. You planned to gut me and disappear. I just beat you to the punch. She looked up, eyes wide. What are you going to do? I smiled. Nothing. And that's what scared her the most. Because I wasn't angry. I was done. The next morning, she was gone. Not metaphorically, physically. Her closet was half empty, drawers left open, the bathroom counter cleared of perfumes and creams. She left a note on the kitchen island, scrawled in shaky pen. I need space to think. Don't do anything reckless. Please. I laughed when I read it. Not out loud, just a sharp exhale through my nose. The kind of laugh that says, you've got no idea what's coming, do you? She thought the storm was over. That the worst had passed with the divorce papers and the reveal. She didn't know I'd only just begun. 3 hours later, I forwarded everything, photos, documents, the full paper trail, to her other husband. His name was Christoph. Some finance guy in Europe. Tall, polished, and apparently, just as duped as I'd been. I didn't send a message. Just the files, neatly zipped and labeled, for your clarity. He responded within the hour. One line. Thank you. She'll be dealt with. I don't know exactly what happened next, but by the following week, her second Instagram vanished. So did her business page. Delacroix Consulting no longer existed. Friends she'd known for years started ghosting her. Even her sister, who once told me I didn't deserve Mara, blocked her on everything. Turns out, when the curtain falls, even your own family won't stand under it with you. She called me the next Sunday. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail, her voice quiet, like she was calling from the bottom of a well. Ethan. I know you're angry. I know I messed up. But please. I never meant for it to go this far. I didn't know how to stop. Please call me. She sounded like a stranger trying to borrow my name. The messages kept coming, texts, emails, even a handwritten letter slipped under the door one morning while I was out. All full of apologies, admissions, regrets. She used every line you'd expect. You were my constant. I didn't know what I had until I lost it. I made a mistake. I want to fix it. But none of them included what I was really waiting for. An honest apology. Not for getting caught. Not for the fallout. But for the night she laid next to me and chose to lie. The week she spent watching me plan a life she was never going to stay for. She wanted comfort again. A soft place to land after torching the bridge behind her. But I wasn't a pillow. I was the match. I didn't respond. Didn't post. Didn't warn. And still, everything she built, every polished lie, every side identity, began to collapse around her. That's the thing about double lives. Eventually, one of them starts to bleed. And the one left holding the knife? They never see it coming. It's been 4 months now. The house is quieter than I expected, but not in a bad way. Just clean. Still. My clothes no longer go missing from the dryer. The coffee stays just how I like it, black, no cinnamon, no almond milk. I sleep without pretending. I eat without rehearsed smiles. I exist without being part of someone else's disguise. They say healing comes in waves, but for me it came like fog. Creeping in, slowly replacing the noise. Every day without her voice got a little easier. Every hour without her lies gave me back some part of myself I didn't know she'd taken. I got a new apartment, a small place closer to the city. No lake, no patio, just a view of a quiet street and a Vietnamese bakery downstairs that always smells like sugar. I see people again. Real people. People who don't speak in strategy and exit plans. People who laugh with their eyes, not just their mouths. One morning, I got an email. No subject line. Just her name in the corner, like a whisper from the past. I hesitated. I almost deleted it. But curiosity is stubborn. Inside, a wall of text. No punctuation at first. Just her trying to hold it together. She said she was sorry. That she knew there was no excuse. That her life started small, an alias for a freelance gig, a side account just for fun, a few dinners that didn't mean anything. But then the second life made her feel powerful. Wanted. Worshipped. I thought I was outsmarting the system, she wrote. But really, I was just hollowing out my own soul. She told me Christoph cut her off. That he moved out the day he received my file. That he froze her accounts, locked her out of their apartment, and refused to speak to her again. Her friends stopped returning calls. The event world, the one she built her fake name inside, blacklisted her. Nobody wanted scandal at their fundraisers. She ended the email with this. I understand if you never reply. But I wanted to say it anyway, you were the only real thing I had. And I ruined it. I didn't reply. Because I'm not hers to apologize to anymore. She wasn't writing to me. She was writing to the ghost of a life she abandoned. And I don't haunt people who burn themselves. I made peace in my own way. Quiet. Intentional. No vengeance. No fire. Just distance. Just silence. Just the knowledge that I walked through a storm she never thought I'd survive and came out clean on the other side. She played her game like a master. But I changed the rules. And in the end, the one thing she never expected was that I'd simply walk away? And mean it.